Viewers, on a special edition of India Upfront this evening, a decision by a few colleges to impose the dress code upon all its students without exception by the Karnataka administration has been turned into a kind of Hindutva fatwa. A whole star cast of usual suspects and few new ones have jumped into the fray. Malala Yousafzai is the latest international celebrity to fuel hate against India. Taking to Twitter, this favorite of the lily-livered pseudo-liberal circuit has described as horrifying the fact that an injunction against the hijab is preventing Muslim girls from getting an education. Of course, Malala's tweet reeks, viewers, of hypocrisy. One, Malala herself has railed against burqas and other coverings. This is what she said, and let me quote her. Wearing a burqa is like walking inside a big fabric shuttlecock with only a grill to see through, and on hot days, it is like an oven. At least I didn't have to wear one, unquote. And she doesn't, viewers, anymore. Preening before international cameras in some of the most liberal cities of the world, rescued from the hell that she was stuck in Pakistan, targeted by the Taliban. She lives free. She can make choices that are not open to millions of other Muslim women who are caged by misogyny. This is not the only hypocrisy. This is the same Malala who was happy to accept the Nobel Peace Prize from Norway, but hasn't said a thing when the Norwegian parliament passed a law against banning all Islamic body coverings in school and colleges. Okay, India is a Hindutva nation. What is Norway? Malala Yousafzai, in 2018, this is exactly what they did. Is it a Christian nation? And if so, is it blinded by prejudice? And if so, why don't you return, like the other great intellectuals in India who return their awards? Why don't you also return your Nobel Prize? Malala Yousafzai, it's inconvenient, isn't it? But Malala was trumped by Pakistan. The Islamic country has tweeted that the decision to put the uniform first by some Karnataka colleges is akin to the ghettoization of Muslims in this country. While this is an absolute lie of the first order, because we know, viewers, that the students themselves have signed bonds with these colleges to accept the uniform. Pakistan has forgotten what it has done to its own minorities. Forget about ghettoization, it has systematically eliminated them, like they were some vermin. Viewers, its own women are killed, beaten to death, hacked for seeking gender equality. If anyone, they have ghettoized their women, rendered them invisible. But you know, I'm not so concerned by Malala Yousafzai in Pakistan. I don't expect anything better from these opportunists. The prize for bending over backwards to appease Muslims goes to Priyanka Gandhi Vadra and Asaduddin Owaisi. Vadra has said, and let me quote her, whether it's a bikini, ghungat, a pair of jeans, or a hijab, it is a woman's right to decide what she wants to wear. Stop harassing women, unquote. Nothing can be more hypocritical, Ms. Vadra. Priyanka Gandhi when she was an integral part of the first family, lived life of queenly privilege. After she got married, her status enhanced. As Miss Vadra, she could do as she pleased. She was the queen of her own home. She could choose to wear a bikini one day and a sari the next. What would she have known about millions of Indian women who have been denied the right to choose by patriarchs who decide for them? Viewers, these women labor invisible behind veils of regression that deny them agency over their own bodies and their beings. If Priyanka truly believes what she means, then it would be great if she could tweet publicly against her own party chief minister of Rajasthan, Ashok Gehlot, who said that it was time to abandon the ghungat. He wanted to start a campaign because he says this is regressive. There was not going to be any choice in the state of Rajasthan. But since it applies to Hindu customs, Priyanka obviously doesn't see anything amiss. The cake for hypocrisy goes to Mr. Asaduddin Owaisi. His party says, Pehle hijab, fir kitab. This is precisely the language of the Taliban that Mullah Yousafzai has fought against. If he wants to see many more Malala shot through the head for not wearing a hijab or a burqa, he's welcome. And if we put religious injunctions first, then we may as well tear up the Constitution. Because if we go down this slippery slope, then all sorts of rights awarded to pro-choice campaigners, homosexuals, pro-abortion campaigners, and those who fight for the right to wear contraception will be junked, viewers. Yes. The question is, does Owaisi want to turn India into a medieval hell? That's the fundamental question tonight. Are all these people, viewers, are all these people promoting a Taliban template? And do they want, viewers, fundamental question here, a religious veil cast over secular India? Let's open this up. I want to begin with Dr. Anand Ranganathan this evening. Viewers, Dr. Ranganathan has been on this panel earlier. He speaks his mind. We've also, today, Dr. Ranganathan been privy to a hearing, a historic second hearing in the Karnataka High Court. Of course, it's concluded inconclusively. I have a problem with that. I wish the petitioners had been asked to go home, but fair enough. The wisdom of the judge prevails, and he has sent this matter up to the Chief Justice of the Karnataka High Court. I suppose that matter will be debated there. But I want to ask you, what do you make of all this? This business of turning a hijab into a Hathiyar or a weapon, this endeavor of, regression in the garb of rights, and this threat to cast this religious veil over secular India. What do you make of this?
Yeah, good evening, Rahul, and good evening to all my fellow panelists. No, I have to say this, Rahul, it's amusing and tragic at the same time. And I'll tell you why. They promoted open defecation because they hated Modi's Swachh Bharat. They promoted obesity because they hated Modi's Fit India. Now they are promoting oppressive dress code because they hate Modi's government school uniform guideline. Modi hatred has transformed progressives into psychopaths. Now they are saying, pehle hijab, fir kitab. Let's hope Modi doesn't start promoting pranayam. Ye log to saans lena band kar denge. But Rahul, you only have to see the degeneration of our so-called feminists and activists on this issue. Today, all day, their old tweets and quotes have been discovered and outed. Before 2014, all of them, to each man and woman, were saying burqa is oppressive and a tool of subjugation. And I include even Muslim women here. But now they see burqa as liberating. Do they not have an iota of shame? Do they not see how they are destroying the lives of millions of gullible Muslim girls? If this isn't tragedy, I don't know what is. They themselves wear a bikini but want young girls to wear the burqa. How can you call yourself secular and at the same time fight for religious dress codes to be allowed in school? How can you call yourself objective when you outrage on Karnataka but are totally silent on Kerala, where the government has banned wearing of hijab over SPC uniform? The Kerala High Court has dismissed Muslim plea to wear hijab to school. And Kerala Muslim Education Society, that controls as many as 150 schools, has banned the niqab. Where are these leftist vokes and Islamists when it comes to Kerala? Kya karte hain? But as I said, Rahul, beyond the hypocrisy and selectivity, there is a deeper issue here. And I want to address that time and again because I'm clear, Rahul, there should be one rule and no duplicity in implementing or following it. And when I say religious dress codes, symbols and identities, I mean all religions, no exception. So a school can ban hijab or a burqa even though Allah commands it. 24, 31, 33, 59. A school can ban it because it has a specific rule or a uniform. But it cannot at the same time, according to me, allow a tilak, kada, cross, turban or even janehu. Well, as long as these religious symbols are concealed and not exhibited, I'm fine. In any case, don't schools allow entry to circumcised boys? Circumcision is after all a religious commandment in Islam. It is essential. But because it is concealed, it should be fine. But then again, I ask a very simple question. Again, I'm asking it again, Rahul. What if tomorrow some religion or its God orders women to be shackled in ball and chain at all times? Would you demand that the school allow the girls to rattle and drag themselves in? And more important, Rahul, just 10 seconds. You know, we are right now balking when women believe in covering themselves from head to toe. We say that it is oppressive and psychologically damaging. But we, the same people, we keep quiet when the same women believe that the earth was created in a week and is flat. That is not oppressive. That is not psychologically damaging. I mean, I'll much rather we wore a cardboard box but believed in science.
Well, as usual, can't find fault with Dr. Anand Ranganathan. Of course, some people would say that the turban, for example, falls in a very different category. So, of course, the court will be deciding about the centrality of the hijab to the Muslim faith. And, of course, we have with us a leading religious scholar here who believes that the hijab has got nothing very much to do with religion, the basic tenets of Islam. But I want to open this up. Sheikh Aamir Rasool, leader of the Congress, is with us, handpicked by Priyanka Gandhi Vadra. Rasool Saab, let me ask you this question. Why do you want to send girls to college in a big fabric shuttlecock with only a grill to see through? And on hot days, as most days there are in Karnataka, it's like an oven in there. Malala has said this, Yousafzai. Why do you want girls to be shuttlecocks?
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are very audible, Rasool Saab.
Yes, the way you have kept the headline, I think you have already set the agenda against the Muslims or the Muslim students. See, let me tell you the issue, if we talk about the issue, why this issue now? Why not before? Because the idea of India we believe in, this idea of India before 2014, it was altogether different. And now the way BJP is trying to show people and the way they are, things going against minorities and these students are not even allowed to wear hijab. It's a fundamental right. Our constitution gives us fundamental right. Article 25 talks of right to practice, profess and propagate religion. So if you are against this thing, then you are going against against the constitution of India. You cannot say that when you talk about Malala, you are trying to, when you talk of education, why are you barring education of these girls?
Sir, do you support Malala Yousafzai, who is speaking on behalf of Muslim girls? Just asking a simple question. She says that, and I read out what she said. She said that, at the end of the day, it's a horrifying fact that an injunction against the hijab is preventing Muslim girls from getting an education in this country. Do you support that?
See, you have.
No, I'm only
everybody is
asking you,
laughing
sir.
at that.
It's
See,
only a simple question. Do you support Malala when she says that the injunction against the hijab is preventing Muslim girls from getting an education, and this is horrifying?
See, everybody is laughing at us since 2014.
So you
What's
support
happening here?
Malala?
Every time you hear that there are going to be elections in any
No,
part
so
of
you
the
support
country, any state
Malala?
in the-
You support what she's saying?
I believe. See, what I believe is.
No,
that
I'm just asking you. I believe नहीं. मेरे को आप जवाब दे दीजिए. Do you support in principle what she's saying? It's a simple question, sir. मैंने कौन सा आपको कोई high philosophical question पूछा है?
It's not about what she's saying. It's about what we are saying. We the citizens.
So
of
you
India,
agree
we
with
the citizens
her?
of India.
I'm saying don't quote her. Do you agree with her? Do you agree with what she's saying in general?
No, it's not about what she is saying. So
Okay, do you agree with what?
her or whether
Do
I
you
don't
agree with
it,
what
that does
Priyanka
not-
Gandhi Vadra is saying?
Yes, of course.
Of course.
What's-
So then tell me, why does Mr. Gehlot want to get rid of the ghungat? If it's a matter of choice.
See, every when you talk about
नहीं नहीं
ghungat,
प्रियंका जी
hijab,
खुद ही
it's a
कह रही
matter
हैं
of
कि
choice.
भाई you should be
Constitution
allowed
gives
to
you
wear the
fundamental
ghungat.
rights.
So I'm asking you, and I suppose since you agree with Priyanka
you
Gandhi
are
Vadra,
very
then you must also
See,
agree
see,
with
ask
pehle
me-
hijab
ask
fir
me
kitab.
question
Do you
in
agree
the
with that also? Pehle hijab fir
See,
kitab.
You straight away you agreed with the earlier speaker that whatever he said you agreed with him
Because he makes
and you are
sense.
coming with a biased attitude. See,
No, he makes
it don't work
sense.
here.
No, I'm only asking you, sir. Give me 3 points. I'm asking you simple. Do you believe that wearing the burqa is like a shuttlecock?
The way politics is being
I'm
done
asking you, sir.
against
No.
morality.
देखिए, sir. देखिए, we can't have our cake and eat it too. So, Rasool Saab, I'm asking you a very simple question.
No, I'm not Rasool. Kindly correct it. I'm Sheikh Aamir. Advocate
Sheikh
Aamir.
Aamir.
Please
Okay.
correct it.
Sheikh Aamir Saab. Okay. Sorry. Sheikh Aamir Saab, I'm asking you a simple question. You believe that Priyanka Gandhi Vadra is right when she says that women, if they want to wear a ghungat, no problem. They want to wear a bikini, it's no problem. Do you support her when she says that women can wear a bikini, no problem? That Muslim women can also therefore wear bikinis, no problem? That those people who troll the wife of a leading cricketer in this country because she happens to wear a slightly low-cut blouse are actually terrible characters? Would you say that?
See, you have a problem with Muslims. See, I will tell you one
I don't
thing.
have a
Since
problem with
2000
Muslims, sir. I'm
Yes, you have
welcoming.
a problem with Muslims.
I'm welcoming
Let me
you,
tell
sir, on this show
let
to
me
take
tell
a
you-
position.
let
You're
me
not
talk.
taking a
Now ask the
position.
question, let me talk. Let me talk.
I don't have a
Let me talk, let me
problem.
answer.
What gives you, what gives you, one second.
India-
What gives you the
India-
right to say
India
I have a
being the
problem with
largest-
Muslims?
when we-
I have a
proud
problem
of-
with
see-
Muslims, sir, who say, yes, who say, pehle
The
hijab fir
Constitution is
kitab.
not about who.
I have a
who is
problem
saying
with
what.
that
It's about
because
the
that is
Constitution
against the
of India.
secular ethos.
Constitution-
Do you agree with Owaisi?
It's not being
Sir, you don't have a
against
problem
Owaisi.
with
I agree
Muslims. You
what
should be
the
supporting
Constitution says.
Owaisi. Support him.
Don't you know what the
Say,
Constitution says? Why
I'm
the
asking you this
democracy in
question.
the world, why so hell-bent
Mr.
to
Sheikh
bring
Aamir,
against the
I'm asking you a question. You're not answering the question. You're a Congress leader. At least your boss has taken a position. Why don't you take your position? Take a position behind her. Say
Yes,
what she's
everybody
saying
has
is
a
right.
Everybody has a right to choose whatever he likes to choose.
Okay.
And the Constitution gives us that right.
Okay.
See,
Okay.
I believe the
So
Constitution is not at work.
then, 1 second. Let Dr. Ranganathan come in on this. Let Shazia Ilmi also come in on this. She's a Muslim lady on this panel. Dr. Ranganathan, a quick response to Mr. Sheikh
Yes.
Aamir.
No, with due respect to Mr. Sheikh, I want to say this. Today, it's a live demonstration, Rahul, that any sensible Congress spokesperson or leader will sooner or later be suspended. What is Mr. Sheikh doing? I mean, the point of the matter is twofold. Number one, he represents Congress, whose scion represents Wayanad in Kerala. Show me one tweet or one outrage of Rahul Gandhi in the 3 instances in Kerala where the Kerala government has banned the hijab over SPC uniform, where the Kerala Muslim Education Society and 150 schools have banned the niqab, where the Kerala High Court has banned using hijab for school uniforms. Where is the outrage there? And when he's saying that it is a constitutional right, I'm sorry. Please go ahead. You are a lawyer, sir. Read the 2016 High Court, Kerala High Court judgment that banned hijab from school uniform. It says your right does not supersede the right of the school to prescribe a uniform. आप लॉयर हैं या क्या है मेरी समझ में नहीं आ रहा, लेकिन जो भी हैं आप कभी कांग्रेस से सस्पेंड नहीं होंगे, क्योंकि जो सेंसिबल कांग्रेसीज होते हैं वो ही सस्पेंड होते हैं।
जी
Okay, look, let me, you've left him completely dumbstruck. Now, I want to ask you, Dr. Ranganathan, you talked about how Rahul Gandhi has never tweeted his outrage. One second. He's from Wayanad. He's never tweeted his outrage against certain practices. Now, I remember there is a controversial BJP politician who was beheaded. Can I ask you a small question, Dr. Ranganathan? What in Islam is the punishment for blasphemy? Because if it is about putting religion first and giving people the right to exercise their fundamental rights that are promised to them because of their religion, then we should also be according them the right to invoke justice as they please. After all, why not? So, Dr. Ranganathan, what is the position in Islam on blasphemy?
Yeah, it's very clear on blasphemy, Rahul. The point is, the Quran does not prescribe a punishment, but Allah does say in 33:57, those who abuse Allah and His Messenger, Allah has cursed them in this world and the hereafter and prepared for them a humiliating punishment. Indeed, the penalty for those who wage war against Allah, now that is all relative. What do you mean by waging war against Allah and His Messenger and strive upon earth to cause corruption is none but that they be killed or crucified, or that their hands and their feet be cut off from the opposite sides, or that they be exiled from the land. That is for them a disgrace in this world, and for them in the hereafter is a great punishment. 533.
So if we go down this religious route, Dr. Ranganathan, I just want to ask you, since everyone wants now to put the hijab before the kitab, if you go down this route, you will end up in a jurisprudence of this nature also. And then they'll say, well, we have the right to cut off people's hands because that is what, is essential part of our religion.
Yes, but do we not see that in evidence? In Kamlesh Tiwari's case, in Kishan's case, that has happened in Pakistan with gay abandon. You've seen that. In India, it is rare, but it is increasing. So the fact of the matter is, sooner or later, Rahul, you can, as I say, I quote the axiom, you can keep on snaring the fundamentals.
Right.
But for how long will you keep on sparing the fundamentalists?
Let me ask Sanjay Jha, suspended Congress leader Shazia Ilmi will go up against him. Sanjay Jha, today, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, forget about Malala and company, I don't really give two hoots. But I'm worried, whether it's a bikini, ghungat, a pair of jeans or a hijab, it's a woman's right to decide what she wants to wear. Stop harassing women. You see, the right is with the woman. What happened under Rajiv Gandhi when a lady wanted to exercise her right to alimony? Her name was Shah Bano. At that time, her rights were snatched away from her. And they were actually given to her not by the religion, we know the position there, but by the courts of India, the Supreme Court. At that time, the Congress was very happy to deny women their rights under the Indian Constitution. Yep. So I want to ask you, what happened in Shah Bano? And if you juxtapose Shah Bano with what Priyanka Gandhi Vadra is saying, can I say that Priyanka Gandhi Vadra is the biggest hypocrite in this country?
Okay, let me say, number one, and I would also, as a friend, kind of admonish you as well. Be careful of the things we are talking on the show, because the verdict has not yet come from the Karnataka High Court. And some of us may have a lot of egg on our face if the Constitution's liberty on which the petitioners have fought is vindicated. So I would recommend that we just kind of calm down a little bit. Okay, there's no need to get so intense about it. My second point, and I do hope that if the verdict goes in favor of the petitioners, some of the people here will have to come and apologize publicly for ridiculing themselves. The second point is very critical. Let us not mix the two issues here, Rahul. One is the issue of whether the hijab is regressive,
right,
whether it's moderate or progressive, etc. I have my personal view. I do believe that the Muslim women are looking around for emancipation, and if they don't want the hijab, that is their fundamental right. But the issue here that we're talking about in Karnataka is different. And I think we are trying to
No, but Sanjay Jha, just back up once. How is it their fundamental right? No, how can not wanting the hijab be a fundamental right? It can't be, because that's the whole matter.
So can I
Because how can the fundamental right promised by the Constitution, which is a secular document, prevail over religious injunctions? So you have to make up your mind. If you believe that the hijab is religious, then you have to tell Zeenat Shaukat Ali that she is crazy for going against the injunctions.
Finish again. I mean, this is not fair. Huh? Let me finish my line.
No, I'm only asking you because you contradicted yourself.
You went to Dr. Ranganathan 3 times. Can I finish my one sentence? We can't have such a lopsided, skewed debate, for heaven's sake. I come on your show very often. Can we just make it a little more dispassionate here? My short point. The issue here is, I know what Zeenat Shaukat Ali thinks. She's a friend of mine. She came on your show the earlier day. She felt it is not a religious practice. That's her opinion. The question that she needs to answer today is the government of Karnataka right in banning people,
Sheikh,
young Muslim girls from wearing hijab, that they have not been abruptly stopped from doing? I mean, the question that is coming up is, there are elections coming up, Rahul. You know it. Okay, and we all know that the BJP is looking at love jihad, ghar wapsi, beef bans, anti-Romeo squads. Hijab is adding to the laundry list of issues that will create communal conflagration, and it helps the BJP story. Priyanka Gandhi, I think, is called a spade a spade. Why is Mr. Narendra Modi quiet? If Times Now, a popular show like yours, is debating this issue for the past 4 days, clearly it is of national relevance. Can I ask, why is the Prime Minister so quiet? He didn't mention it in Parliament. I believe he's going to give interviews. Trust me, he will duck it. Because this is the dog whistle politics that Mr. Modi, the BJP and the Sangh Parivar play. That's all I'm going to say on your show.
That's the issue. A lot of obfuscation. Now, if I had challenged you to basically answer the relevant questions and not go off on a rant which is rhetorical and non-fact based, I'll be accused of muzzling your voice. So it's like a catch-22. So Sanjay Jha, I just want to ask you this. You said that I agree with Muslim women in principle because they want to feel emancipated. But how could you make this statement tonight? Because it goes against the entire issue at hand. The fact is that if Muslim women were to stride towards emancipation and shake off body coverings, etc., they would be called apostates. And then the punishment for apostasy we know because Dr. Ranganathan has read it. So I'm only asking you, would you then condone an attack? You know, you condemn the attack on Gauri Lankesh by Hindu fundamentalists. Would you then step out and say that this is completely egregious? When some Muslim might turn around and say, but listen, this is my fundamental right. I'm only exercising what is God's will. I can stone a homosexual to death and it happens in Pakistan. So I'm only asking you, what happens then? And we have had cases, sir. We have had Khap Panchayats. We have had edicts passed to cut people's heads off. So I'm asking you, do you agree with what the OAC is saying? Pehle hijab, fir kitab, which is a metaphor for putting religion over secularism. Do you agree with this in principle or not? I'm only asking you a simple, honest question, sir.
I'm asking Rahul, the tragedy of Indian politics, and this is not rhetoric, okay? What Owaisi is saying is playing with communal politics that suits the BJP. Okay. Shazia laughed. Why don't you ask her this first question?
I'll ask her, but let me ask you, if he is playing with fire.
But the BJP does
No,
not
Sanjay Jha, if he is playing with fire, then what is Priyanka Gandhi Vadra doing? She also says, no, if he is playing with, sir, 1 minute. If Owaisi, I'll ask her, don't worry, I'll ask her, no problems. Give me 1 second. One second. Sanjay Jha, if Owaisi is playing with fire, then what is Priyanka Gandhi Vadra doing? Whether it's a bikini, a ghungat, or a pair of jeans, or a hijab, it's a woman's right to decide. Tomorrow, the father, listen to me, the father of some Hindu girls in some villages will start saying to their wards, please wear the ghungat. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra says it's okay. Go start wearing the ghungat tomorrow.
Gandhi Vadra has spoken like a secular liberal.
How is she spoken like a liberal? By arguing for the Ghungat, that her own chief minister. So is her chief minister illiberal?
That is my prime minister.
Then Mr. Jha is Gehlot illiberal for wanting to ban the Ghungat? It's a simple question.
Rahul, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra's tweet is a manifestation of the India that we need. I want to ask,
where Hindu customs are banned, where the doors of Sabrimala are thrown open, where Shani Shignapur's injunctions are brought down, where the Ghungat, viewers, the Ghungat is banned, but not the burqa. That is the India we want, says the Congress party. Two Indias. Rahul Gandhi was right. How prophetic he was. The two Indias. Let's ask today Shazia Ilmi, the lone Muslim female politician. We wanted two India here. One India where everything laissez-faire for one community and only modernity, even if it goes against religious customs, for the other, which is the Hindu community.
So for me, it's a very personal issue.
We are getting her to answer that. That's the whole question.
Sanjay ji, if you allow me, it's a very personal issue, and we have all battled issues with identity and what we wear. It still is a matter of a daily jihad when it comes to clothes when I step out, and there is a lot to contend with, and there is an extra factor that comes in every time. So if there is another relationship a Muslim woman has with the public space and clothes. And my mother wore a burqa, and my father was a Maulana, and I come from Chamanganj. It's a prosperous, not even prosperous actually, a ghetto in Kanpur. Anybody who knows that area would know what I'm speaking about. And some of us had to fight, wearing a burqa. And when everybody in your house, including all your khalas and puppis wear, and when, you literally have to beg your father that you don't want to wear. When you want to wear your hair loose or even in a plait and don't want to cover, I want to tell everybody here that while some of you consider this as a matter of pro-choice, you do not know when the lines get blurred between pro-choice and oppression. When there is actual pressure and force on women folk who decide to discard this. So, and also the word hijab has been mentioned 7 times, the word himar and the word hijab, which is essentially to cover your chest, and also for the family of the Prophet. So hijab is not mandatory or obligatory, and even if it were, just like our friend Mr. Rasool or what have you, or Imam or whoever he is not wearing what do you call? He's not traveling like a Bedouin. We don't see a camel around him. And we don't see him wearing the long robe. Surely women should not be expected to wear what women in that era and a geographical context wore. 1. And 2, I want to tell, no woman should be heckled, Hindu or otherwise. And the practice of veil predates Islam. So I want to tell all of you that. So let's not, and when oases of the world, and this is very serious for me, and I would like all of you, and especially Priyanka Gandhi, whose sense of feminism is really messed up, because, we're not all about body, about concealing or revealing it. So she talks about a bikini, so you reveal your body, a burqa to cover it. We are beyond our bodies, my dear friend. So if you talk about Beti Hu, get your politics on male-female dynamics right. Your way of Priyanka Gandhi, you have a lot to work on. I'm ready to give you tutorials. Seriously, you need a lesson. And I would like to tell Owaisi, when he says, Tum bahadur ho muskan, tum ja rahi ho. He does the biggest disservice to so many young Muslim girls who might not wear a hijab, but deal with so much of struggle and encounter so much on the way, in the pathway to success or to basic education. So please, let's not, when we glorify a girl who said, and I'm with her, she should not have been heckled by anybody, she or any Hindu girl. But similarly, where were all of you when all the Maulanas out there, when I spoke on triple talaq, which was actually keeping in mind the Quran and the word of Quran, when all of you went against the word of Quran, just because you hated BJP, and because BJP seemed to be more in line with the Quran, you tell me, what did the Maulana say? She is not a good Muslim because she is not wearing a hijab. So I will not wear a hijab and I'm a good Muslim. If the moral of the story is that this girl is not going to is wearing a hijab and that makes her a great Muslim, worth glorifying, are we denouncing and making fun and mocking others and actually pushing them towards a regressive practice, which is only a part of patriarchal social conditioning? I think it's pathetic. And I have a huge problem with both Priyanka Gandhi and Owaisi on this, as much as I do with the people who are wearing saffron bands and heckling a girl.
Okay.
And the poor girl also should have a choice to discard it as and when she wants, because you're not a good Muslim or a bad Muslim if you wear a hijab. It is not your religious right. So you don't become a Muslim, good Muslim or a bad Muslim or a Muslim or a Hindu by virtue of your clothes. And that is what I want to say. This is something that I have battled it, and many girls struggle and are claustrophobic in what they have to wear. They do not have a voice, they're conditioned, and they're beaten up and threatened.
Okay, Sanjay Jha and Maryam Nasir Alavi. Maryam Nasir Alavi, why is it that if you are to believe what people like you say, that this is a religious injunction, why don't men also cover up for modesty's sake in India? Why is Sheikh Aamir not covered up like you are? Because the Hadith says, modesty is incumbent upon both men and women.
Is it my turn to speak?
Of course, ma'am.
Yeah, hi. While I respect the impassioned views of Shazia, I sort of want to comment on the correctness of this question, Rahul, because the question here is not whether men are put on the same standard as women when it comes to hijab, but the fact that whether the state government can tell me whether or not I can or cannot wear something if I am to get an education. I think we need to get the discussion back on that track.
So you agree, madam, you agree with what Mr. Owaisi says, pehle hijab, fir kitab?
See, Mr. Owaisi is not my uncle that I will agree with everything that he has to say. But I will say that if somebody has to wear the hijab, it does not have to be a choice on whether or not they can attend college.
Ma'am, I want to ask you a very important question here tonight. This particular edict is about uniformity. It's about uniformity. It is about engendering and fostering a sense of uniformity. So I want to ask you, Ms. Maryam Nasir Alavi, who decided in Islam for the women? Did a woman decide this dress code? Who decided it?
See, Rahul, if you're asking about questions about Islam, then it's the question of whether or not you believe in it and whether or not you choose to follow it, or whether or not your particular interpretation or your acceptance of those particular tenets. It's personal at the end of the day.
I agree,
and
but who decided? I mean, you are a theologian also. You probably...
No, I'm not a theologian, Rahul. I'm just a lawyer. Please.
Okay, you're a lawyer who knows, therefore, must have studied some of these subjects. I'm only asking, and this is a question that, you know, comes up even on the Hindu side of the fence. Who decides ultimately for women? Isn't it men? And isn't that problematic? Just asking.
See, I will put you this proposition. See, young students need to be recognized for their intrinsic worth, which is not divorced of their differences and does not exclude them from self-determining themselves through exercise of free choice in their life.
Right.
So what essentially is happening, with this whole issue is that you're forget about right to education, forget about access to education, forget about public spaces for people who choose to express themselves through their dress code. Forget all of that. Are you not endangering the camaraderie and friendship that a student can accept when it's going to, study in a college? Can you imagine studying in a college or a school where your classmates hate you?
Why would they hate you?
Yes, come on, look at the heckling. Your channel is running it.
heckling.
Who is the oppressor here?
There were
Who is
also
the oppressor
there
here?
were also people from the campus front of India. They were also from Popular Front of India that were doing exactly the same with Hindu students. So they came out the next day with saffron shawls. Look, let's not get into who started the fire.
See, if you want
I'm asking you, ma'am. See, you're a lawyer. You're not a politician, and I'm asking you certain basic questions. As a lawyer, I'm asking.
No, there's nothing basic about it.
No, so let me ask you some basic questions about the law.
What is basic is that your constitution gives you the right to self-determine yourself and to culturally express
Miss Alavi,
yourself.
it's a very basic question. And
it
escaped. The answer has not come to me, even from lawyers. Maybe I'll try with Ishkaran Bhandari. He's also a lawyer. Madam, there is a country called Norway and Sweden and Switzerland. They are very progressive democracies. Very progressive. And they have banned all outer garments in their colleges and schools, because they want to foster a sense of integration, number one, and most importantly, equality. Are they countries that have no constitution? In fact, the Indian constitution borrows heavily from the Canadian constitution, and you just look up Quebec. Quebec has also imposed this uniform dress code. Are they all banana republics? So what are they? What fundamental rights are they invoking? I just want to ask you.
See, the concept of secularism that the Indian Constitution follows is not that of divorcing the church and the state. It just means that the state shall not have a religion. But at the same time, it keeps all the religions at an equal pace.
Is that so? You said that the state has no right, but in several cases on the Hindu side, the state has legislated.
It has happened on the Jehovah's Witness also. I'm sure you're familiar.
No, I'm asking you. The state has legislated. On the Hindu side, the state even legislated, and I'm talking about the courts as one of the organs of the state, for Shah Bano. That was a progressive judgment, but she had no choice.
Case, Rahul. You also have the national...
no, I'm asking you, the Shah Bano case, ma'am, it's a very simple question. You talk about tolerance, you talk about rights, you talk about equality. Shah Bano case, who overturned the Shah Bano case and who pushed for the challenge to the Shah Bano case? Wasn't it the clerics? Wasn't it the clerics who were interpreting the holy book? No, I'm asking you. Maryam Nasir Alavi, please answer my question.
Do not sing the national anthem because it was against your...
Ma'am, I'm asking you a question. Maryam Nasir Alavi, I'm asking you a simple question. In the Shah Bano matter, who pushed the Congress government to overturn the verdict of the Supreme Court? Weren't it patriots?
Am I even audible, Rahul? Am I even audible?
You're very audible, ma'am. But you're not answering my question. Am I audible?
No, because, yes, of course. I believe me, there's nothing else that I can hear. Rahul, if you're talking about organs of the state, then...
And all she wanted was rupees 500 and for herself and her 4 children. And she was in her 70s.
Well, you see, we won't talk about the exceptions to the rule tonight, viewers, because their rights don't matter. They're exceptions.
Again, exceptions to the rule are something that the courts have mandated from time to time. No, is anything more important than the national anthem, Rahul, tell me.
आप मुझे बताइए, इंडियन पीनल कोड को हम मानते हैं ना, CRPC को हम मानते हैं ना, तो अगर कर्नाटक के एजुकेशनल सोसाइटी में यूनिफॉर्म को लेकर स्टेट रूल्स के तहत अगर रूल्स हैं यूनिफॉर्म को लेकर तो मानते हैं ना, आर्मी और नेवी में भी यूनिफॉर्म है ना. मैं रिक्शे में जाती थी, I used to cover my legs with a chadar, but I had to wear a skirt because पहले किताब, फिर everything else. As it is, women do not have access to education. Why throw this entire hijab business onto them and make it about Islam and use your politics?
You see, viewers, the same rights activists in this country wax eloquent about Afghanistan. They say the Taliban there that puts the hijab first and the kitab later is regressive. In this country, they don't mind. They don't mind. It's about choice, you see. Let me bring in Ishkaran Bhandari.
I've
never been able to square this hypocrisy.
Then
never.
Then there is nothing that the state can do about it.
Well, madam, look at poor Shah Bano. I know that Shah Bano felt exactly this way. She only wanted 500 rupees, but she was denied at the altar of religion. Even though the court said you can have it, she was denied. There was no choice there. But you will not talk about that case.
इतना कमजोर है इस्लाम के खतरे में आ जाता है.
Okay, Ishkaran Bhandari wants to come in.
Rahul, I have been waiting for 45 minutes.
I'm sorry,
it's
sir.
It's a very
please.
sensitive topic. I
Please.
hope nobody will interrupt me in this.
Yes, please.
Indian state has systematically discriminated against Muslim women. That has been the history of Indian state. You see our constitution, when it was made, Article 44 called about Uniform Civil Code. We had Hindu personal law, Muslim personal law. The makers of constitution thought that when you will reform the personal law, you will reform both of them. But what happens in 1950s? Nehru reforms the Hindu personal law, brings in civil law and Hindu law. When the debates happen on Hindu Code Bill, Mr. Kriplani says, why should Muslim women suffer? And Nehru says, no, the time is not ripe yet. And that time does not become ripe ever. Second instance where the state discriminates against Muslim women is Shah Bano case. You have given that example. Basic maintenance to a Muslim woman, which the Honorable Supreme Court upholds, the patriarchal forces get it overturned by the parliament. The third instance is where a woman, just by mere 3 words, can be left defenseless by talaq, talaq, talaq. Patriarchal forces again fight it out and say that this law is bad and it should be revoked. So I have given you 3 instances over the years. And when they talk about consent, let us please understand the word consent. You are talking about schools. Below 18, in multiple laws, even when you give consent, it is not called consent because you are incapable of giving consent below 18. So you are telling me school girls of 8 or 10 years old, it's their choice of what they wear and go. When they leave their colony, when their aunts are telling them to wear a hijab or a burqa, you think it's a choice of a 10-year-old which she makes intelligently that I have to wear it or I don't have to wear it. It is only schools which, by having uniforms, can give a choice to people who can say that my school does not allow this. Below 18, there is no concept of consent, there is no concept of contract. So that's a disingenuous argument to say school girls are exercising their choice. And last point, all over the world, we are talking about woman empowerment. Let us stop being unfair to Muslim women. Let us give them true empowerment. You did not give in 1950s saying it should be an internal debate. You did not give it in 1980s saying it should be an internal debate. You did not give it in 2000 saying it should be internal debate. The time of internal debate is over. It is a uniform. Everybody has to wear it. Let us give them their right finally in 2022.
Ms. Maryam Alavi, do 6 and 8-year-old girls have a choice?
6 and 8-year-olds are not required to wear the hijab anyway.
12-year-olds.
Ma'am, do you know there was a case that was filed by the parent in Kerala? 1 second, in the Kerala High Court on behalf of 2 young girls under the age of 18. Are you aware of that case? Let me tell you. I have the facts here, and this is in 2018. And the case upheld the court upheld the right of a private school to not allow women to wear hijab in classrooms. The dominant interest in this case is the management of the institution. If the management is not given a free hand to administer and manage the institution, that would denude their fundamental rights. What do you have to say about this?
What if the girls are saying that the hijab is a part of their intrinsic identity? Will you tell them no?
But who socializes
Rahul, I want to give a
Will you tell them no?
Rahul, this is...
Ishkaran Bhandari wants to come in on that point.
Rahul,
10 seconds.
2 simple points here. I started by saying laws are not made in vacuum. Rahul, 1 second. We have laws are not made in vacuum. We know and Shazia gave a very good example of societal pressure when she had to go through it. Hopefully now the young girls won't have to go through societal pressure. That is why we have schools and uniform. The word uniform means everybody being uniformly dressed, the simple English. When you will not give a choice to 10-year-olds. And my friend Anand is either doing a PhD in Islam or he is trying to replace Zakir Naik. He will give you the quotations because there is an opening in India. But the reality is, it is not choice when you are below 18. And secondly,
Rahul,
this patriarchy has to stop.
Yeah, Dr. Ranganathan wants to come in. Yes.
Yes. No,
the lady there, I think Maryam is her name, is absolutely right. You see, it is very depressing. This whole discussion is very depressing for an atheist like me, and I'll tell you why. Do you know, Ishkaran, you're talking of consent, but according to Census 2011, 155 million Indian infants aged 1 to
3 have been categorized as Hindu, Muslim, Sikh and Isai. Did the census lady knock and ask a 3-year-old Indian kid whether you are Hindu or Muslim? Did he say, nahi, main Hindu and Muslim nahi hu? So, you know, when you can categorize children as religious, their parents have the right to, to take their lives towards the religion that is theirs. Secondly, you also know, Ishkaran, that Muslims need not follow the Child Marriage Act, Indian Child Marriage Act. In fact, the Gujarat High Court has adjudicated that an 11-year-old Muslim girl can actually marry. So, where is the...
Maryam is right, Ishkaran.
No, but that is exactly my point, Anand. Two things. First, when you are 0 to 3, you are just giving your parents religion. After 18, you can make an informed choice and change your religion or become an atheist, like you have decided to become. That is exactly my point, that when we are talking about consent of a schoolgirl's uniform, she will have no consent. The patriarchy, all over the world, the debate is what the patriarchy decides. A Muslim young child, a girl child, will be made to wear what her father or grandfather deems fit for her to wear. The only place she gets an exception is the school. Let us not destroy those exceptions in the marketplace, in the house. She will be forced to wear what the parents want her to wear. Please let at least the education institutes be immune to this.
And I want to just say one thing, Ishkaran, and to you, Rahul, and to Anand and ma'am, aapse bhi main kehna chahungi. Don't you think at least in school and colleges, can we just be free without all these identities of whether it's gender or religion or caste? Can we just breathe this air?
If a class of students say that I will not choose, I will forego my education if I can't cover my head, then is it not the state's responsibility to cater to those needs as well?
Then you have private schools, you have madrasas, you have Islamic institutions where you can go, madam.
Religion, beyond the caste. Can we just be Indians? Can we just be students?
The state can't regulate uniform.
That young people talk about, ma'am. Can we just leave this for a bit? Religion and politics, at least out of schools and colleges. For just that, let it be. I mean,
Ma'am, what you're telling me essentially is that if looking like this, I don't have right to an education. No, this is exactly what you're telling me, ma'am, right now. That looking like this, I don't have an access to education. I can't afford a public school, and I have absolutely no right to education. This is exactly what you're telling me. You're telling me that people who look like me don't deserve education. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm hurt to hear that, personally.
Rahul.
No, let her respond. Let Shazia Ilmi respond, please.
She's speaking for the last half.
1 second. Maryam is asking you a simple question. Shazia Ilmi.
I will speak as much as I want.
Okay, 1 second. Maryam is asking you a very specific question. Shazia Ilmi, 1 second. Sanjay Jha, 1 second, please. Let me pose that question. Maryam Nasir Alavi is asking you, Shazia Ilmi, a simple question, that if people look like her, should they be denied the right to an education in a government institution?
Education.
Yeah, I'm saying that, in a government institution. That she has no right looking like this to apply to a government institution.
Discriminated against on the basis of looks. Similarly, in a Muslim home,
excuse me, this is a piece of cloth.
In a function, they should not discriminate against a woman, and if she is not wearing a hijab or a burqa.
Ma'am, nobody is saying that if you don't cover your head, you can't get an education. This is not exactly, Ishkaran, this is not a madrasa.
She needed to play tennis. Similarly, ma'am, the way Sania
You took my name. I didn't understand the question.
Because that is
Were you asking me a question?
You're not getting it.
Okay, two hands raised. Ishkaran Bhandari, quick one, and Dr. Ranganathan first. Dr. Ranganathan, yes, go ahead. Ishkaran Bhandari.
No, I'm afraid I disagree with my good friend Shazia.
Yeah.
My hands were up for the last 15 minutes for the record.
Sanjay, you want to take my...
Obviously, you don't
Take
have
your
a sense
time.
of
Sanjay Jha, you can take Dr. Ranganathan's time. No problems. You speak, sir. Please.
No, I won't. I'll take just 5 seconds. Why hasn't the spokesperson and supporters on the show, there are quite a few of them, why haven't they answered to the hypocrisy of the Sabrimala temple where the Hindu women's emancipation was the big issue? Why are these people from the BJP and the RSS and the Sanghis here on the show? Why aren't they telling us what is the truth on that? They have their hearts are bleeding on triple talaq, on hijab.
You know,
What a political game plan, Rahul. I can tell you your viewers...
Dr. Ranganathan, why don't you respond?
That this is nothing.
Why don't you respond to Sanjay Jha on Sabrimala?
The BJP.
On Sabrimala.
No, I think Sanjay has quite deliberately muddled the waters because his argument has been weak ever since the last 1 hour. It doesn't merit any response because Sabrimala is a completely different case. First of all, I was for the Sabrimala judgment, I still am. But I believe it is perceived discrimination because there are temples where men are also not allowed. Number one. Number two, I agree with Miss Maryam and I disagree with my great friend Shazia for the simple reason that if a Sikh or someone who is wearing a turban or a janehu or a tilak or someone who is a Jew, for example, who is circumcised can be allowed entry, then someone who is wearing a hijab must be allowed entry. Or you ban entry for everyone who is displaying a religious symbol, or you allow everyone. A law has to be watertight. A law cannot be subjective or a law cannot be discriminatory. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So to Miss Miriam,
So let me
one second.
Let me set the baseline here. First of all, viewers, there is no talk about hijab or about turban or tilak in the government order. I don't know if anyone has read it. There is no talk. This is the rule. Section 133(2) of the Karnataka Education Act gives the state the power to give such directions to the officers or authority under its control as in its opinion are necessary or expedient for carrying out the purposes of this act. And it shall be the duty of such officer or authority to comply with such directions. Who are these directions given to? The CDC. The CDC says comply with the uniform. Not whether you should wear a hijab or a turban or a tilak, doesn't mention anything. Just comply with the uniform. The school in question says, this is our uniform. They gave out a declaration for students to sign and they said nothing above and beyond that. And they enforced it. Equally, no saffron shawls, no hijabs. But we've had a massive showdown and India is being called intolerant. The same thing was done in Kerala, viewers. In Kerala, the High Court upheld the right of the institution to throw the dress code in the face of the student and said comply to the last letter and T. It was done. No protest, nothing happened. It was not seen as some Hindutva imposition, fight for rights and hijab first, kitab second. In fact, the Kerala, a Muslim organization in Kerala, in fact, the Educational Society came out and said in none of our schools will hijab be allowed. No problem there also. Any protests? Nada. Zero. Zero protest. But Karnataka mein to protest hi protest chal raha hai. Suddenly we've all become Hindutva vadis. Think about it, viewers. I leave it at that.